It's 2022, a brand new year, a fresh start, so you know what that means. Play the exact same games as last year. We just can't help it, can we? Endlessly playing the same stuff because it's become a sort of default setting. And quite often, these games have an emphasis on online multiplayer. Just think about it. FIFA, Rocket League, Call of Duty, Apex Legends, you know you've sunk an extortionate amount of time into at least one of those kind of games. Personally, my default is Hearthstone, an unending chasm of rage and false optimism, in which I tried to convince myself that I could easily be high legend if I was really trying. Let's be realistic here, I'm not getting to high legend because that requires actual skill, and yet I still continue to try anyway. Similarly, in Apex Legends, you'd think after the 50th hot drop into Fragment that we'd learn our lesson and land somewhere a bit quieter. But inevitably, after every defeat, we jump right back in with a renewed sense of determination. Oh, we just got unlucky that time, we'll win this time for sure. This is the result of the first problem with online multiplayer. It just never ends. In offline games, there are usually points at which it's a good time to call it a day and move on to something else. You hit a story checkpoint, you finish a level, you die so many times to that boss that you just can't be bothered anymore. Online multiplayer, however, has no such obvious point at which you should stop. You would assume that being booted back to the lobby after an embarrassing defeat would be a suitable time to leave, but instead our optimism, or rage depending on how long we've been playing for at this point, fuels our desire to play just one more game. Just one more game. When is it actually ever meant just one more? In my mind, one more game translates to another hour, if not several. It seems the only way to break this cycle is to get so fed up with the game that you quit either from boredom or pure unfiltered fury. But let's be honest, we'll be right back again tomorrow, and the main reason for that is problem number 2, they're specifically designed to keep you coming back. The most obvious way a developer can do this is with those daily and weekly challenges found in just about every free-to-play game ever. Usually, these are here to give you points towards a pass of some kind, which levels up throughout a season, and quite often the fear of missing out on a free skin for the Mozambique is just too much for some people to handle. This is doubly true for those of you who buy the premium passes. You feel obligated to come back and earn all those rewards you paid for, otherwise it'd be a waste, wouldn't it? And then, once you've completed it at the end of the month or season or whatever, the developers have been sneaky and given you just enough premium currency to buy the next one. It's quite ironic actually. We think we've outsmarted the system by spending their virtual currency on the next battle pass instead of our real money. In our minds, those stupid companies have lost another 10 quid. Meanwhile, these stupid companies are sipping their tea and laughing at us, knowing that you're about to spend another month playing their game. You know, it's almost as if they planned this. Going back to Hearthstone again, the constant cycle of expansions, mini-sets and battle passes makes it necessary to return to the game as often as possible in order to not fall behind. If you end up missing too many of your daily and weekly quests, you won't be able to buy as many packs for the next expansion, meaning that you won't be able to use all the new, undoubtedly broken cards, and your experience as a whole will be ruined. That might be a slight exaggeration, but the point still stands. The game's designed in such a way that it's just possible enough for you to get a decent collection as a free-to-play, provided you come back to do all your quests. The result of this is A, you spend every waking hour of your life making sure you complete your challenges, or B, bite the bullet and buy the expansions every time they come out. This option essentially turns Hearthstone into the most expensive subscription game of all time, as you'll be dropping several £100s every 4 months or so. Oh, and by the way, buying those bundles doesn't guarantee you'll get every card. You have no choice really, you have to come back or else you won't be able to get anywhere. It's quite genius from the monetization department, but a right pain for the rest of us. Problem number 3. There's something about other human beings being better than us that really gets our blood boiling. Just check your local FIFA player's bin and you'll more than likely find a large pile of controller corpses, each a relic from a tragic defeat suffered at the hands of an overly skilled 10-year-old. But it's not just opponents that can start up a temper train and send you to Salt City. More often than not, teammates are the source of our problem. Or at least that's what we think, because it's far easier to blame someone else for the team losing than it is ourselves. We'll always twist the situation to make it seem like we're the ones that are making the optimal moves the entire time, and it was them that was being incomprehensibly stupid. If you push an enemy and die, well, that was their fault for not backing me up. And if they push an enemy and die, what are you doing? You were never going to win that fight. Some games just seem to bring this side of people out more than others. Personally, I've never seen so much toxicity in my life than when I decided to try out a MOBA. Multiplayer Online Battle Arena. 4 words that you never want to hear in the same sentence. Very much a warning for the perils that lie ahead if you decide to venture forth. Myself and some friends decided to try out Smite, essentially the baby of the MOBA family, and supposedly the least toxic. Dota and League had a reputation for being particularly hostile for newcomers, so we thought, how bad could Smite be? Turns out, still not great. In about 1 in 3 games, there was someone in the lobby that thought of themselves as an infallible smite warlord, despite them being, in reality, just as bad as the rest of us. These kinds of people take it upon themselves to nicely remind you mid-game that you're one of the worst players they've ever seen, instead of, actually helping the team. This happens in other games too, such as this lovely message I received after utterly obliterating someone at Hearthstone. On the bright side, you're doing really well when someone on the other side of the planet gets momentary murderous intent over a virtual piece of cardboard. Time for the final problem now, and probably the worst of them all. The ranked systems. All 3 problems we had before apply to ranked, and in most cases are even worse. The lack of endpoints even more of a problem when your rank goes up, or most likely down, after every game. It'll either drive you to continue your win streak, or desperately try to recover your lost rank whilst you plummet further into the depths of silver and bronze. This particularly affected me when I was trying to get to Elite Smash and Smash Ultimate. It seemed no matter how many games I'd won, after a couple of bad losses I'd be right back to where I started. At the very least, Smash has the decency to make sure your GSP will stay with you forever, aside from some player inflation. So when I inevitably tried to get more characters into Elite Smash in 3 months' time, thinking I'm the best player the British Isles has ever seen, I can be put in my place by an insane Dr. Mario player in the deciding game. Those playing other games aren't quite as fortunate though. Quite often their ranked systems get reset every month or season, forcing them to grind back up to their new rank every single time. This links to point 2, as you're encouraged to go back and make sure you achieve a good rank each season. Wouldn't want those bronze badges to be a stain in your inventory now, would we? A lot of these games give you bonus rewards for reaching certain ranks during that season. They are largely cosmetic, but it does serve as an incentive to go back and try and obtain them. Naturally, Hearthstone is the exception once again, making these rewards actually useful in the form of rarer cards and packs. Whilst it is useful to be given these essentially for free, it does mean you have to play hours of Hearthstone against people that are actually competent. And of course, when high ranks and rewards are on the line, toxicity is rampant. Ranked modes are a catalyst for toxic behaviour. For some, ranked can be the only reason they play a game, not necessarily for fun, but to show that they are better than other people. When people start thinking about it in this way, it is much easier for them to become obsessed with trying to get the highest rank, and therefore will become increasingly affected by each loss. This isn't to say that ranked modes are bad, far from it. They're often a fun way to see how good you are, but prioritising rank over enjoyment should be avoided wherever possible. Maybe I'm just looking into all this a little bit too much, and I probably am. But perhaps by just keeping these issues in the back of your mind, it may help you spot them, and ultimately help you to enjoy your games more.